Hello, hello, and welcome to this, not that, your quick marketing update on everything you need to know about what's working now in your small business. And welcome to my co host, Anka Herman. It's so great to have you back. Hello.
Lovely to be back here.
So we took a little time off for a few holidays and a couple other things going on. But we this is the first of a three-part series that we're doing on how to increase your sales from existing leads. And so today I thought we would talk about ways to reconnect or reestablish relationships with people that are maybe on your email list and they chose not to purchase the first time you interacted with them, or maybe they joined your list, or they've met with you at some point, but you've never really nurtured that relationship and started moving them forward. So, Anka, why don't you give us your perspective on that as we jump into like what you've seen in the industry and what you've seen work to reignite those relationships?
Yeah, no, it's a fabulous topic because I think, as you always point out, that the people who don't buy the first time they come across you, it's kind of the vast majority of people, right? So it definitely pays to pay attention to these people. I mean, I always say, well, you don't really even ever want to get to that place that you have to reconnect. So that's the first part. I think my first tip would be to not leave such a big gap that you actually need to reconnect. But then if it happens, if somebody fell through the cracks, or you just kind of somehow thought or didn't think much about it and now you're in the situation, I would say, like, don't make it sound something that it isn't. Just be open. I think people much more appreciate if you just say, look, life got in the way. I didn't, how you doing, without immediately shoving something down their throat, but to just allow that step to, hey, I'm back now, this and that happened, or whatever, and to be honest about it, because people will go, oh my God, I have a funny example, not exactly on not staying in touch with your people, but there was a client of mine, and I sent her something, and somehow I sent her the wrong link or something. And she goes, oh my God, I'm so glad. I thought you were perfect. So she was like, I'm glad you're human. That's basically what came across, right? I'm
Right.
glad you're human. So if we just, rather than making out some big story that, that isn't true, if you just be honest and
Right.
and admit this is what's going on, and I want to know how you are.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because, yeah, you referenced one of the studies that I found at the beginning of the year, and I probably have beat this study to death, but it's so important because what the sales study said was 97% of people are not ready to buy when they come across your brand. So that leaves 3%. And not all of those 3% of people are going to buy. That's just say the 3% that are ready. And so we spend, because the marketing gurus, I'm just going to throw it out there, have told us, go get more leads, go get more leads, go get more leads, go get more leads. And so part of this series is for you to reevaluate your lead generation strategy and instead make the most out of the leads you already have. And so I agree that people need to continue to stay in touch, but they have been trained in most instances to not do that. They have been trained to, okay, I got these leads they didn't buy. I'm going to go find more leads. I got more leads. These people didn't buy. I'm going to go get more leads. And so I think the vast majority of people, not necessarily you and I, spend most of our energy on creating that initial lead generation funnel and not
Mm.
no energy, if they spend any energy at all, on following up with the people that have great potential to become customers. And so along with like the nurturing that you spoke about, which I think absolutely be authentic, people, you see it everywhere in social media. Like they want you to be real, they want to be able to connect with you. They want to know that you're a human because humans do business with humans. And that's why you see the maker economy skyrocketing, because those makers are not afraid to put out there, hey, I've been up for 12 hours. I haven't slept. I have no makeup on. And they're just like, they keep it real. But when you're developing those relationships, so if you are in the majority and you've let those relationships fall to the wayside, one of the best ways that I have found to reignite those people and actually find out if they're, where they're at on the scale or their interest level in things is to, and you do this as well, you probably just didn't associate this in there, but is to see what kind of offer of free value I can give them. And so that could be a new resource. It could be you do a lot of joint trainings that you invite people to that aren't necessarily just business builders for what you do with them, but business builders all around. So that would be like mindset. And I know you just had one the other day that was more focused on I can't remember now which one I just saw the other day, but I was like, oh, that's a really interesting concept, but maybe you'll jog my memory. But partnering with those people to give them more value. So you're not showing up in the inbox to say, hey, I know you didn't buy, but you want to buy now? Because the answer is going to be no. Yeah. No, I do not want to buy right now. But if you can show up and go, hey, if you're like most people and you're really struggling with time management in your business, I have partnered with Sally Sue and she is an expert in time management and we're going to do this free webinar. I would love for you to come over and see if you can get some nuggets to implement into your business. And then, by the way, share it with a friend because you're probably not alone.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I love that. I was just thinking, well, I would jog your memory, but I don't know which one, because I do a lot of these things because people need different things. And I think people are often also so scared of sharing the limelight. Oh my God, if somebody goes buy from him now, right? So it's like, well, fine, my people will buy from me. And I've never had anybody saying, well, I would have bought from you, but then you add, then you kind of promoted this other person. And now I actually just literally the other day got a message from somebody saying, oh my God, I like literally replying to an email say, hey, I'm so grateful you shared this book with me because I went through that and it was really helpful. So actually the other person, wrote the book. I still get the credit. Like it's not, people still associate you with it. So it's not, I think the whole objective should be, how can you be of service to your people, right? And they will, and some of them will at some point be ready to buy in, others won't, but then they still might recommend you to other people. I've had that too, where people who I've known for a while who don't really need or want what I have, but they've sent other people my way.
Right.
So
right.
I sort of stopped thinking small in that way. And that kind of like, oh my God, I have to protect, like, if you have a more expansive attitude, things flow your way much faster.
Yeah. My favorite analogy about that, like the whole scarcity situation, is when you look at all the different types of music and then specifically different artists that create music. So do you think Taylor Swift is sitting around worrying about what, Beyonce is going to create next? No, she's out kicking butt and releasing album after album after album, so much so that her fans love her so much that they broke the concert ticket system, and now she's suing them. And so we get in this mindset of like, just because you listen to the Beatles, does that mean that's the only group you're ever going to listen to again? Absolutely not. Like, we probably love the Beatles and we probably love maybe Led Zeppelin. We might like Queen. We might like Taylor Swift. There's a smorgasbord of music, even the Christmas songs. Like, Christmas songs have been playing in the US since like Halloween practically. And so when you turn on the radio, they don't play the same artist every single time or on a playlist. They play favorite tunes by different artists. And those artists redo those same pieces of music. So if you look at your business that way, as it is expansive, there is opportunity for everyone. There is opportunity to not only collaborate and connect with people that are similar to, we're a great example, that are similar to you. You will get your people. Your people will be attracted to you because you're you and not because you're trying to be someone that fills their every need.
I mean, I think that is really actually. I've got a colleague, and she does a lot of partnerships, right? And and so she has an interesting theory, even about sharing other people's offers, right? She says, well, there will be people on my list who will never buy from me, right? And there'll be people who've bought something, but they are not interested in the thing that I've got now. So sharing other people's offers, maybe workshops or lead magnets or whatever it is, right? Sharing other people's stuff. She says that way I get to serve my clients and I have a lot more to offer than just my own stuff, right? So I think it's just, and on top of it, you build these partnerships in the process that are incredibly valuable.
I agree. And not only that, but just on a personal note, as an entrepreneur, like if you start cutting yourself off from everyone, it gets to be a really small, lonely space. And the more that you can like connect with people that are in the same situation that you are, and that are, have the same goals and want, to really help other people, the more that helps fill you up, because there aren't necessarily always places you can go to connect with people that are in the same boat as you. I mean, entrepreneurship is, yeah, it's this big space of people, but a lot of times people are really focused on their personal journey. And if you do that for too long, you cut yourself off from everybody else. And you realize when you do need support or you need a sounding board or whatever, you don't have anyone. And so I think those collaborations are really powerful, not only to grow business, but to also keep sane as a business owner.
No, totally, totally. Especially when you partner with people who like serve your people in a different way, right? So it's not that it's like, oh my god, we should be competitors, but we're not. Like, it works really well when actually somebody described this really beautifully, like who to best partner with is if you look at the journey, the buying journey, or the evolution of your potential clients, right? And so they basically come to a point and they hit a problem. So they get some help to get this problem solved. But that very solution kind of creates the next problem, right? So, and ideally you want to partner with people who sit kind of next to you on that journey, who either create the problem you solve or solve the problem you create, right? So if you look at it from it, there's all of a sudden a whole bunch of people that open up to be fantastic collaboration partners, and referral partners, and that it's like you're never going to have to be lonely, right? And you're never going to have to run out of people who who might just trust you enough to consider buying from you.
And that is so brilliant in so many ways. So I just want to take a minute and call that out, because so many people don't focus on that. And thinking about that buyer's journey is so critical, because then it enables you to stay in your zone of genius and not try to do all the things everywhere to fix all the problems. Because when you do that, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to seem muddled and confused to the people that actually need to find you. And you're going to isolate yourself. But the other piece of that is that it kind of goes full circle to how we started this conversation, is that we have these leads. Well, they may have come in thinking that they need this solution, but actually they might need this one over here or 2 steps back. And so when you start to collaborate and create that connection and conversation with them, you can figure out better where they are on the journey. So whether you're a good solution or someone further down the line or a few steps back, whatever that might be, could be a better fit for them. And then when they go through that process, then they'll be ready for you. So can I just do a quick example and then we'll call off of here? I think about like people that come into my world, for example, and I think you've had this too, where they come in and they don't have a product that's been tested or proven, and yet they want to go out and market it all over the world. And so you and I would take those people and say, oh, you need to go talk to Joe and work on not only your, market analysis, but also like do some prep work in this area of getting your product ready and tested and get people buying it before we jump in and set up 15 funnels and do, all of the things that you need to do. And I don't think a lot of people are aware that you have to do those initial steps before you can solve the problem that you think you need to solve. And so I just really want to reiterate again that whole customer journey.
I just love it, because I find, like, that's why in my world, step one is always translating what people say they want, right? Because I've learned this in software development. It was exactly the same when I had my sewing business. Is when something isn't your area of expertise, what you think you want is either way off, or it's part of the solution, or it's skipping steps. So it's literally the first step is like, what do you actually want, right? And digging in there to make sure we're solving the right problem. So it's very common, right? So people always jump to, in my world, they jump to the tools too fast. There's always like, oh, what platform should I use? Like, well, I don't know. And people start a podcast. What microphone do I need? And I'm like, well, you don't need any microphone until you have a damn good reason for why anybody, including you, would want to take out half an hour to listen to your stuff, right? Yeah. Until you have an answer to that question, you don't need a microphone, right?
Exactly.
It's exactly that. But I think nobody skips steps on purpose. Like, everybody who skips steps is just because you don't know they're there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so helpful to get some guidance through that process if it's your first rodeo.
Right. And I think that is where people kind of go astray, because most people that are sharing information on social media or creating content on a regular basis, they're doing very high level content. And they're not going to get into the nitty gritty with you because, one, there's no way they could possibly do that in half an hour, for example, or 15 minutes. But two, your business and your situation is way too personalized. And so if you have somebody that's trying to give you one-on-one advice in a public forum, that's still going to be too general, because they don't know exactly where you are in your business, in your situation. And without digging in and doing the work that we both do with those people, they're not going to be able to give you a solution or give you the next steps to get to the solution.
Yeah, totally.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you took some tidbits away from this so that you have some ideas about how to reconnect with your existing leads, because there is a plethora of gold right there. And I think we just ignore those leads because it's easier to just keep doing lead generation, but that is not necessarily the best way to grow your revenue, your referrals, or retain clients. So we'll be back next week for part 2, and we're going to talk about a different piece of this puzzle. In the meantime, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful week. Thank you, Anka, for joining us from the lovely Spain. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
See you next week. Bye.